the Assistant Director for the Office of Award Pre-Proposal Support, also known as APPS, APPS, at RF CUNY. On your behalf, we subscribe to Pivot RP, a comprehensive web-based database and tool that helps researchers, faculty, administrators, and students explore and identify global funding opportunities. Access is available to anyone with CUNY credentials. You simply visit pivot.proquest.com, sign in using your institutional credentials, and claim your profile. Today's session will include a live demonstration of the platform's functions, along with best practices to help you navigate the site. We are pleased to be joined by Andrew Bell, Customer Success Manager for Pivot RP. Andy, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much. Great. So I'm going to share my screen initially. So we'll go through the site itself. So obviously this will look a bit different to how you have it. It's all customized at the moment for yourselves in terms of the logos and everything else that's kind of handled by your administration team. So I'm not going to. I'll touch on some of the administration functions that exist within the system, but this is an end user session, so I won't go into much detail on that. So what today will be is kind of just a broad kind of overview of the site, what it can do, what functions are available to you, and some best practice in terms of how you could do things. I will express that there's no right or wrong way to do anything on the site. There's usually multiple different paths to get to where you need to be or what you're looking for, but we do have some tried and tested ways of doing things and suggestions about what you could do when you use the site. Happy for people to interrupt with questions or questions at the end if that's easier. You know, context is everything. So if you've not played with the site before, not used it before, then it might be that questions don't come up in this initially, but it is fairly intuitive. The system's been designed to be quite easy, user-friendly, and there's lots of self-help available within the site as well. So what I'll do now initially is just kind of give you an overview of the site. So this is the front page of Pivot RP. So it'll be branded CUNY for yourselves. And it will look a little bit different in terms of the colors and the imagery. But you'll always have this perpetual menu across the top. So that's going to have your home button. So that home button means that nothing is ever more than one click away. So you can always go back to your saved opportunities, your tracked opportunities, the home page by just hovering over the home button and selecting one of the options. So we have a tab for funding. Well, that's where we'll spend most of the time on. And we have a tab for profiles. Profiles are different to your account. So when you come into the system initially, you'll log in if you log in for the first time, you might be asked to claim a profile. So your account is what allows you to log into the system, save your searches, create your searches, share searches, create and track opportunities, manage those opportunities. The profiles is an add-on function that allows the system to have a profile for you as a researcher or as an academic, and allows the system to send you recommendations. So the system will always, the best way to find something on the system is always going to be to do a search. However, the system uses profiles to send you recommendations based on your work profile. So the system going, would these be of interest to you? The second thing that profiles exist for is to allow you to see other researchers that you might want to collaborate with. So if you're looking at funding opportunity, and we'll see this when we kind of dive into a search, you can see other researchers, both internal and external to your institution, that you might potentially want to work with kind of in the future. So that's, we'll kind of talk about a bit more on the profiles in a second. Conferences is a section about conferences and papers that you might want to apply for, to send abstracts to go and visit. We have an awarded grant section. The awarded grant section is a repository of previously awarded funding data. We don't track all of our funders in the previously awarded data because it would just be too large. So we kind of keep it to around about sort of 70 to 80 of our top funders in terms of previously awarded grant data, and it goes way back in terms of giving information about who won what, where, and how, or something like how, about who won what funding opportunity, where they were from, who won it. And that's really designed to be there as a way to give you information so you can make more informed decisions about what it is you apply for. So you might see a funding opportunity has been won 10, 15 times ago in a row by one particular institution. So it might be that it's not worth making that application and wasting your time by applying for that funding opportunity. So it just kind of gives you a bit more ammunition to make more informed decisions. And then we have the news section, which is all the reporting behind research professional, and is really good insight of news about what's going on within the world of research funding. You won't see the support bar and you won't see the administration button. The administration is something that's reserved for your research office and anybody your research office wants to give administration access to. You will see an announcements function that just announces anything that's happening within the site. So if there's any new developments, but it's also used by your research office, or can be used by your research office, to send everyone within the platform a message that that wants to be relayed to your researchers and academics. You have a help function here, so the help function is great. You can come in here this way if you need to log a support ticket, you want to chat to our support team, but it's all about the knowledge center. We have a whole training center with regards to how to do everything on the site, how to do a search, how to create your profiles, but also we have a YouTube video channel section, which is just loads of bite-sized videos about how to do specific things on the site. So not everyone's necessarily got time to do to sit on an hour-long presentation or an hour-long training call like we're doing at the moment. But most people can give 5 or 6 minutes to a short video on how to do a search or how to build your profile, and they all kind of sit in here as well. So they're really great kind of resources to help you if you're stuck in a particular area. You could just look at that video and it'll give you the help that you need. So the main front bar here this is your main search bar. It's replicated throughout the site. So if you're on the funding profiles page, it's searching for profiles. If you're on the funding page, it's searching for funding. But it's a very basic search bar, and it works on a free text Boolean style searching. So you can just type in any free text term in here and it will search the entirety of the site for that free text. Not the most focused way of doing a search, but it's a quick way of doing a search. Most people will do an advanced search to get the ball rolling. The boxes here. So this box here is all about your tracking and managing your funding opportunities, your searches, your saved searches, your dynamic saved searches, which are essentially searches that update and change with new funding opportunities that get added, old funding opportunities get removed. So it's dynamic, it's always changing. The tracked opportunities are your static list of funding opportunities. So you're saying I'm tracking X, Y, and Z, doesn't change, but it does mean that when you're tracking them, you've been kept aware of everything that's going on. If policy changes, if there's a deadline change, we will make you aware of that because you're tracking that funding opportunity via email. The middle section is all about your profile. So you can join groups. Your research office will have created groups for you to potentially join. So there might be a group for the humanities department, the sciences department. It just allows them to send groups and information to groups of people. So rather than individually sending messages, they might create newsletters that can send information to everyone within the sciences department. And if you're a member of that group, you'll receive that information as well. There's also here you can deal with your preferences, change your email preferences, have a proxy. So if you've got someone who does work on behalf of you, you want to give them proxy access to your account, you can do that as well. And then you have a box here, which is normally tips and resources section, but your research office can customize this box to tell you or can relay information to everyone who's using the system as well. So as you give a kind of a overview of the main front page. Before I kind of jump into the tabs and sort of talk about how you can create a search and kind of what you would do to manage your search as well. It's always a good idea when you first come into the site. So if you've never used the site, I'm just going to log out of the system now. So if you come into the site the first time, so normally you would log in for the user login institution, you would choose your institution. So it's and you find them in the list in here, choose it, and then you would log in that way. Or you can create an account. If you've never used the system, you can go to create an account and do much the same thing. You would choose your institution from the list, and then log in that way. So because this is the first thing that you would do here, you would kind of use your institutional logins, and that will create an account for you. I'm going to log in just my kind of standard way. Sorry, just going to log in here, and it's going to just right. Okay, so yeah, so when you first log in, you obviously you'll create your account. That'll create your account for you. You can then choose to claim your profile. So the first thing I would do is when you log in is go to the profile section and claim your profile. So you go to your profile. I get the option to edit my profile. You will have, if you've not claimed your profile, you get the option to claim your profile. When you claim your profile, you'll kind of go in and you can edit details and create and put as much information in the profile as you want to. It's not a necessity. You don't have to use profiles. It just means that you're going to receive recommendations if you do, and also gives you more options about collaboration. But if I go into, rather than looking at my profile, because mine's admittedly a horrific profile because I'm not a researcher, so I don't, or an academic, so I don't have a really good one to look at. So I'm just going to show you one of my colleagues, Sarah. Um, she was actually an assistant professor. She was an academic, so she works for us now. But this is her profile, and just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So this is potentially what you could aspire for your profile to look like. She's going to be receiving recommendations, kind of good recommendations based on the content of her profile. So this is her profile here. So when you go in here, you can add your CV page. If you link it to ORCID, you can link your ORCID profile, and that will pull information from your ORCID profile into your researcher profile for you, so that you don't have to add publications. You don't have to do all that kind of adding of that information. You can link your Web of Science ID, which will then mean that you get metrics against your work put into the system. You can see here she's got times cited, H-index, publications, and citing articles, her expertise, affiliations, keywords. So everything in the system is tagged with a specific keyword. So I don't like the term keyword, it's disciplines or subjects. So our team will put these keywords against, or the subjects against funding opportunities, which just allows everything to be tagged with a set list of kind of subject areas, which just makes things easier to find, means everyone's speaking the same language when it comes to terminologies and terms and all that kind of stuff as well. But that links in, so you can add those keywords to your profile as well. She's got publications in there, so if because she's got her ORCID profile linked, it means it pulls this information in here for her. Because if a profile in ORCID is up to date, her profile in Pivot RP will be up to date. But you can add them in yourself individually. You can remove them. You can change them. You can add them in bulk if you wanted to as well. And you can see grants as well. But what you can see is here is that you can also see that she's got 69 funding opportunities that match her profile. There's 110 funding opportunities that match her department. So these are basically the recommendations that the system is saying, this is what your profile is. So these are the funding opportunities that we recommend based on your profile. So it's a way to receive information about funding opportunities without having to do too much, without having to do a search at all. It will just send the information to you as long as your profile is up to date. So it's a great tool to have, and I would encourage people to come into the system and claim that profile. The next thing I would encourage people to do is to join the groups that are relevant to them. So you can go into the group section. Only administrators can create public groups. but you could find a group that works for you, join it, and you'll start to receive information that's sent to that particular group. And then the second thing I'd do is I would come to the system and create a basic search, an overarching search with the parameters that are never going to change for you, and then save that search. And then what you can do is, rather than having to create searches from scratch, you can pull that information and save a version of that search and create a new search. Sorry, a question there from Maria. Yeah, so your administration or your research office would give you access to the administrator if that was something that was possible. So the research office give access to be
If I may answer that, Maria, thank you for that question. You would need to communicate with the grants officer at the CUNY campus, where your campus, and they would provide me with permission to go ahead and do that for you.
Fantastic. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
So I'll come to the funding bit in a second. So we kind of talked about profiles. Claiming your profile is a good thing to do. I'll mention the conferences and papers invite section. This is essentially a comprehensive database of deadlines, open calls, conferences, that kind of stuff. You can search them, click the advanced search function for those things, or you can browse by subject, and it'll just give you the details of funding calls and all the information about them in there as well. So that's the conferences and papers advice section. I'll go into the awarded grant section. So I mentioned earlier on, this is a repository of funding information. Sorry, previously awarded grant data. Again, you can search for those, do an advanced search. You can search by your institution if you wanted to. You can even search your own name. And if it's one of the funders that we're tracking for previously awarded data, it'll be in there. But if I kind of clicked on the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, you can see these are the search results. You can filter down on the left-hand side if you wanted to, but the information that going to give you, it's not a very good example, sorry. Not all funders are as good as others about putting information in, but it'll tell you the grant title. It will normally give you the abstract, who won it, how much it was, and what institution won it. So again, just giving you prior information about funding opportunities and more, give you kind of information to make more informed decisions about what it is you can apply for. So any questions on kind of profiles or conferences or awarded grants, just before I kind of dive straight into the actual funding bit? Yeah, no, okay. Cool. Happy to, like I say, any questions, just let me know. So I mentioned from a best practice point of view, sort of coming in, when you first log in, claim your profile, join the correct groups if they're relevant for you, and then come into the system and do a search. Now, you can just do a search from the front page. You can go straight to the advanced search function from the front page. Like I said, there's numerous ways to get to where you need to be. You can highlight here and go back to all the saved stuff, but you can go to the funding page as well. So quickest route is to just go straight to an advanced search. But I wanted to show you the funding page because this gives you an idea of how the hierarchical tree works in terms of the way the subjects are kind of, or the keywords are kind of aligned. So it kind of starts at the very center with health and medicine, social sciences, natural physical sciences, and all that kind of stuff. And then as you go further down the tree, they get a bit more specific. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how much funding is available. This one's currently in English in pounds at the moment, so it's 80 billion pounds worth of funding. So that'll be over $100 billion worth of funding that's available across the board. We have a search tips function here. Again, the same search bar appears here. So you can search all fields. You can search just by the funder. You can search just by keyword. I would suggest that when you're doing your first search, at least, is come in here to the advanced search function and do a main search to cover generally your area of research. Don't be too specific with the first one that you do, but maybe put into your first search some of the criteria that's always going to be the same, no matter what you're doing on the site, or not no matter what you're looking for. Because the idea in the system is you can either do ad hoc searching. I've got a bit of information I'm looking for. I'm looking for this particular piece of funding, so I'm going to search for that funding. The other way of doing things is creating overarching searches for the areas of research that you want to do, or that you're looking at, and the system then will keep you up to date with all the new funding opportunities that match that particular search. So this is the advanced search function. So the white stuff is essentially everything you want to add to a search, and the grey bit is anything that you want to take away from a search. Maria, your question? Yes, you can. Yeah, that's adjusted by the currency. So Maria asked if you can change the currency, or it's automatically adjusted based on the grant location you're looking for. It's default added by your administration team have already set the currency to dollars already for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So I wouldn't start. It could be tempting to go straight into the top bar and just start typing in keywords or free text, but bear in mind this is a free text Boolean style search. So you're looking for the word business, for example, in all fields throughout the entirety of the site, just the abstract, just the title, or just the funder ID, or if you want the CFDA number. But you can build up as many different free text search terms as you want or you need. You just add more, and they can be and or as well. I'm going to come back to AI generated and semantic search in a little bit because those are fairly new functions. The first place I would start with the keyword. So if you're starting a search, come to the keyword. You can either type it in here or you can browse the tree. And this just gives you an idea of how things are labeled up within the site. So this is the top end of the tree. So agriculture and food sciences, area studies, health and medicine, law, all the way down to sustainability. And if you go into, for example, I always use health and medicine as a good example. You can see that it drills down, and let's say we drill down to disease, and then we're looking at cancer. And then when we drag down into cancer, we're looking at all the different types of cancers. So you can see how it goes down the tree to get more specific about what it is you're looking for. Just select it, and that can be the basis, the starting point for your search, and then build around it. But you could just do a search for, if my area of research is bone cancer, for example, then you could just do a basic search for bone cancer and off you go. But it automatically has the tick box for sub-entities, which basically means I'm now looking at cancer and everything below the cancer box, so all the different types of cancers. Or if you didn't do that, you would just look at anything that's just been tagged with cancer. So do that as a starting point for your search. And then you can build around that. So you can search by funder. So if you know the funder, you can add the name of the funder. Everything has a little I button next to it. So you can always see, it'll give you information about what it means, what's the structure of that, what that particular search function means. You can search by amount. So if you want to know more than, less than, between, the amount in dollars, for example, you can do that. You can specify deadlines. So I don't know, I want to know funding opportunities have got a deadline within 7 days, 14 days, or whatever that might be. You can search whether anything is limited submission, yes or no. You don't have to worry about applicant institution location, activity location, and citizenship. I wouldn't touch those functions purely because the applicant institution location is set by your administrators or your research office. As Maria, you asked the question about the currency, the applicant institution location is also defaulted in the system by your research office. So anything that you see will only be available will be stuff that's available for an institution or eligibility for an institution in the US. So, but you can override that here if you wanted to. You can specify the type of funding, whether it's an artistic pursuit, business funding. Most funding opportunities will be research, project grants, and innovation. However, there are other things like prizes and awards. So we have a new prizes and awards prestigious section. So you just want to see prestigious prizes and awards. We've already talked about the keyword being the starting point of your search. You can specify the applicant type. So in your case, it would be academic institution. But if you weren't and you were something else, you could specify that you were something else. You can specify the career stage. So you can specify whether you're early career, graduate, mid-career or not. You can specify the type of funder. So whether it wants to come from an academic institution, whether it wants to come from a government, federal government, um, private sector, public sector. One of the good things in here is the fact that obviously with current situations in the US with federal funding and the kind of the problems that you guys are going through with that, a lot of US institutions are trying to find funding outside of the federal side of things. So you could specify that you don't want to look for US federal government funding and see the funding that's coming from elsewhere as well. You can specify the country of funder. And you can also specify when it was recently added, if it was added in the last 7, 14 or 30 days. So that's kind of how you build your search. You start your starting point being the keyword, and then building up around that. The alternative, which I haven't touched on so far, is the semantic search. So the semantic search is something that's fairly new. We introduced it last year. So rather than building a search, you might have a brief, or you might have a CV, or you might even have a previous funding award that you want to replicate. You can just copy and paste that information here. So you don't have to put in key text. You just copy and paste 2 or 3 paragraphs or 1 paragraph information into the system, and it will use AI and give you some recommendations or funding opportunities based on the content of that semantic field, of that brief or that CV. So that's pretty handy. That's actually proven quite popular because it's a really quick way of going, well, I've just been given a brief to do bone cancer research. So I copy and paste the brief into the semantic search function and it'll give me funding results that match that brief. So it's a really, really good way of doing things. We also have an AI generated summary field. So you can have this on or off, but essentially it just gives you, on top of the information that we already give you, it will give you an AI generated summary of the funding opportunity as well. So I'm going to do a search now. Click on a search. So we're just looking at this body of text I put in here. So you can see I've got this one set to the United Kingdom, but it could be set to the US. If you wanted to override that, you would just click the X button, get rid of the applicant institution location, and it'll give you funding applicant. It'll give you eligibility or funding opportunities that are outside of the US, if you wanted to, but most people would keep that on there. But this is what the search results page looks like. So on the left-hand side, you can see filters. So whenever you do any particular type of search, you'll have the option to drill down that search with the facets on the left-hand side. Recently added, submission type, confirmed or not confirmed. It'll detail the information that's in the search here at the top. You can go back to the advanced search function. You can save that search, or you can refine that search, or you can share it with other people. If you save that search, that's the dynamic search that I was mentioning earlier on. You can choose to have alerts sent to you every week about all the updated funding opportunities to that particular search. Don't worry about having lots of these created because the system will only send you one email every week, but it'll be, if you've got multiple searches, that they'll be contained within that same email, rather than having, if you've got 10 searches, you won't receive 10 emails. So don't worry about having too many emails being sent to you on the basis of that. So we would call that, and then going to save that there. So that will sit there in our save button. I can go back to the home button here, and I don't have to go to the home page at all. I can just go saved searches. I'll get taken to my saved searches there. I'll come back to that in a second. So the idea being is you've got your search results. You start to kind of go through them. So you can either tick all of them, or you can tick individual funding opportunities, and you'll see that the menu bar across here has changed. Once you start selecting funding opportunities, these are the static opportunities that you are interested in. You have a little spyglass that kind of gives you a bit of information about what's going on with the funding opportunity before you go into it. So there'll be the AA title, there's the abstract, the eligibility criteria. So you can kind of see that, and the idea is that you would select a number of funding opportunities that you're interested in, I'm going to select all of them. And then you go, okay, well, I want to track those funding opportunities. So I'm going to call this here, create a new tag. So that means I'm now tracking these funding opportunities. So anything that changes with these funding opportunities, policies change, deadlines change, you'll be made aware of that because you're tracking that funding opportunity. And again, from the homepage, you can see the list of your tracked opportunities and you can manage them from there as well. You can share them. So if you wanted to send these to somebody else via email, you could do. You can send it to a group or send it to individuals. You can export it so you don't have to use our system to manage the funding opportunities. You could just go, I want to see all of these in an Excel format, and you can set your fields and then you can download it. You can dismiss what you're seeing. You won't see this curate button as an end user. That's for the research administration office or an administrator, but administrators can create saved searches that are essentially shared. So they're called curated searches and they sit on the system and you will be able to see them. So everything you do on the site is for your view and your view only. Only you will see your own searches. Only you will see what it is you're doing in terms of the types of funding opportunities that you're looking for. However, if the research office curates a search, then you will be able to access that search, save it for yourself, and change it and use that for yourself. Sometimes the research office will create those on behalf of departments so that they can have a step up from having to actually create a search. You can also have, so a really great thing that we have here is this calendar view. So I'm just going to do the entire list of the calendar view. So on top of being able to track funding opportunities, you can track them within your calendar. So if you track them within your calendar, you can subscribe to this. So if I choose to subscribe to this list of funding opportunities, I can subscribe to iCalendar, Google Calendar, Office 365. It just means it will put it into your calendar, but any changes to that funding opportunity will change in your calendar for you. So if it moves from the 21st to the 28th, it'll move it in your calendar to the 28th. You can also download a static CSV file as well if you wanted to. But most people don't want to see them in their calendar on the day that they're going to expire because that gives you little or no time to actually do anything about it. So we have display options here where you can show opportunities in your system 30 days before they're due, update the calendar, and the system will then put them into your diary 30 days before they're actually due. So that's a really great way for you to manage tracked funding opportunities that you are interested in. If I go into a funding opportunity, so I'm going to go into one that's these are all the European ones. I did a European search, which is probably not very helpful for a US institution at the moment. But this, when you go to funding opportunity, it'll give you details of the funding opportunity itself, a link straight to the funding opportunity on the funder's website, who the funder is, the amount of money, the abstract, the eligibility criteria, AI generated summaries, the keywords. You can put in your own deadline dates and your research office can put notes in there. So it might say that you need to contact the research office if you're applying for this funding opportunity. So they can put notes specific to funding opportunities within funding opportunities. You can see here that other people that you might want to collaborate with. So that's based on the profiles. So it's telling me that there are 500 plus people outside of my institution that match this profile of this funding opportunity. There's the direct funders contact information there as well, and individual tracking and sharing opportunities or lists there as well. So that's how you do a search. That's how you kind of find the details of your search, amend and kind of drill down on that search. But how you manage those searches, you can either go to the home page. So you can go to the home page and do it from here. And here's a list of your tracked opportunities. Or you can go over here on the hover over the home button, go straight to your saved searches. So just for the kind of, well, we'll go into one of those. So this is where you manage your saved searches and you manage your static opportunities. So you'll see here that here's the Here's the search that we created for you. You can go back into that search. It will give you a list of all the new funding opportunities that were added to that search in the last since the 18th of January, or you can see all of them. You've got your options here to be able to delete the search, turn your email alerts on or off, refine the search, share the search. This is essentially where you manage all of your all of your dynamic searches. These are all of your individual ones, and the curated searches are the ones that have been created by your research office or anybody who has administration access. We have the same thing for tracked opportunities. This is obviously not dynamic, this is static, but it works in much the same way. You can come to the system here, see a list of all of your tracked opportunities. There's the one we created for CUNY. Obviously, there's quite a lot here, so you wouldn't have as many in yours. But this is all the tracked opportunities. We can delete the expired ones. We could manage them, update to the calendar, turn email alerts on or off, that kind of stuff from here. Shared is anything that's been shared with you. Sorry, that you've shared with anybody else. So if you share it, it will list all the funding opportunities you've shared via email. It'll also list all the funding opportunities that have been sent to you. The advisor alerts are essentially the ones that are linked to your profile. So those are the recommendations from our system based on your profile, and they're called advisor alerts within the system. And then kind of a list of internal funding opportunities, because CUNY can send you funding opportunities that they're funding for its own researchers as well. So this is kind of where you kind of manage and track all your funding opportunities from here. So that's kind of just kind of a whistle stop tour of the functions and how you create searches and how you save searches, how you manage those searches. But like I said, when you come into the system, I would encourage people to first of all claim their profiles, add as much detail as to your profile as you can. It doesn't take too much time to do that, especially if you link it to your ORCID profile. And that means that you'll receive alerts based on your profile. It's a handy way to receive recommendations. But then I would also then choose your group that's specific and then create an overarching search to start off with. And then you can save that search and create versions of that search that are more specific as you go. But have a general search for your area of research, and then you'll have more specific searches because you've got a brief. I need to look at this, so kind of off we go. So that's all managed from here. So any questions on how you create a search? It is kind of it's fairly self-explanatory in terms of how you use the site, but what can be confusing is there are multiple ways to get to where you need to be. What I've showed you isn't necessarily that it isn't the way that you have to do it. It's just a recommended way of doing it. You can build your search however you want to build your search. You can be as detailed as you want, or you can be as generalistic as you want, depending on how you want to capture that information. But once you've created that search, it is fire and forget. It will keep you updated as to new searches or new funding opportunities that match your search. So I think I'll stop there and open the floor for some questions. If there's anything people would like to see. There may not be any questions because if you've not used the site yet, you might not have any context to the information I've been kind of showing you, but it's fairly easy to use in terms of the site itself. No questions then? That either means I've really explained it very, very well, or it's very, very easy to use, or hopefully both. But if you have got questions, you can obviously relate them to me. Ingrid, you can reach out with any questions. It doesn't have to
Yes,
be a
of
prearranged
course.
meeting for us to have.
Is
If you need anything.
Andy, is there a specific email they can use to contact you, or how do you prefer?
You can just reach out to my email that's listed in here. They can go for the research office, or they can just click on the help function. But yeah, I'm customer success and product management, so happy for people to reach out to me just with my email address,
Okay. All right, thank you.
which is kind of here. So, but yeah, I mean, like I say, any question? I mean, like typically, if people haven't used the site beforehand, there won't be that much contacts. But yeah, so yeah, but Maria, happy for you to contact me directly. That's no problem. Susie, you have a question?
Hi, so I'm cheating. I'm on the grants officer side, on the
Oh, you're
administrator
cheating.
side.
That's not fair.
So I'm here today. But I have a question. We haven't really used the curated search too much. I think early on, there was like an initiative to try to create some searches in there, and the ones that are in there are probably not ideal. But
Mhm.
faculty have to subscribe to those, or do they get alerts from them broadly, or can we assign who gets alerts?
You decide who that goes to. So you can set up newsletters. We are doing an administration one where we'll kind of focus on the those tools, but we have within the administration function, if you created curated searches, and you've created groups for those people to go to. So when you create a public group, people can either join them, or you can add those people to that group. You can copy and paste a list of email addresses into that group and populate it for them. Or you can just invite people to join that group. And when you create a group, it just means that you can send funding opportunities to those groups. You can already send them to individuals already. You could just type in the email addresses and do it that way. But obviously, that's sometimes a long-winded way of doing things. But you can create newsletters that link to that search and link to that group, and then we'll send out an updated email address, sorry, an updated newsletter every single week, um, with updated funding opportunities for that particular search. So yeah, you can specify who they go to.
Thank you.
No worries. Jennifer.
Thank you so much for this, Andy.
That's no problem.
I have been playing around with the site as you've been instructing us, and it seems like a lot of the opportunities that are coming up are for programs and projects. Is there any way to filter for particularly for research funding?
Yeah, so when you go into a search, so I'm just going to go into just going to find the search here. So you've got you've got funding type. So I would go ahead and select where am I? Sorry. Research project grants and innovation. That's typically where most of those are.
Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions or yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
sorry, I kind of logged in late. I was fumbling with Teams a little bit. I'm used to Zoom, not Teams. Will this be? I don't know if at the beginning you had a explanation how we log in. I went through CUNY, and I think you said that we should set up the profile first, right? And so will there be a
Yeah, so when
recording first of all?
yes, there's a recording, yes, but yeah, you can go into hit your profiles. Once you've logged in, go into profiles, and it will say to you claim your profile or create a profile.
But how do I log in?
Oh, how
So
you
I
log in?
create a
So
login.
yeah, so if you've never logged in before, the first thing you'll do is you'll go to create. So
Okay,
this is the front page that you'll come to. You just go to create account,
okay,
and then you use your institutional login details. So you'll click on there, choose your institution, and create your account, and
okay.
that's it.
I thought it was already created. I just had to log in some way. All right, thank you.
It might already be created. If it's already there, then it would just take you to. It would say, "Is this your account?" Then you would claim it.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions at all? Or
So regarding the recording, Andy will provide a link to me, and I will share that link with everyone that that joined. However, if you can email me at Ingrid_Valentine, VALENTIN @rfcuny.org,